Excellent. I just need to find my.
Just hold on. I just okay.
Share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so this is, I've worked on quite a lot of different ones, hybrids, also from other software. So I think I had one Exocad and 3Shape or whatever. Nevertheless, we need to make this work for any hybrid which is made in any software. Now, as we know, they've got screw holes, and this one in particular I've chosen tonight because it's very difficult. It's got the screw holes. If you look at in transparent mode, you've got the screws up here, the screw hole, and they're all over the place. And this one is very close to the exit. This is, yeah, so the way we start this is we bring it into Blender and we line it to the center of the workspace, which is very important. And then what we're going to do is, some of you may have already seen parts of it, but it has changed quite a bit. So what we want to do is we want to protect these holes. So by protecting the holes, we're going to create like a cylinder that goes through that hole. And you'll see like an orange cone. You'll see it in a few minutes when I put it to the side. Okay, so here's another one. We are in transparent mode, by the way. So, and this is so we can actually see through the model, and we can place these little cylinders. So here I'm going into edit mode. I'm selecting a vertice, which makes it easier for me to rotate, because Blender has been set to rotate around the active vertice which we are working on. Then I simply go out of edit mode and I make my next cylinder. I use a G key and I put it into this through the hole. And I'm going to do one last one over here like this. Shift right click to place my cursor, and we're going to make this blue cylinder. Now, when I move it to the side, you'll see these cones that are at a certain height. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that the cylinders go all the way through my hybrid. They will protect the inside, and these will protect the multi-unit abutment. So, and it's actually two purposes, because one is it protects the underneath, and the second one is I'm actually seeing where I want my screw hole has to be in the metal, and so my screw head maybe 2 millimeters or something, and I can see here 11.4, so that should be 12.4, 13.4 if it's a 2 millimeter screw head. So that gives us a basic idea of where this needs to be placed. And I'm going to do this for all of them. Now, this one is quite close to the end, the actual hole. So we're going to leave it like that. I'm going to move this one up as well, something like that. And then the last one, well, that one is not so critical. But yeah, so they're all over the place. And this is where I want the head of the screw to go into. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to draw our line. So shift right click to place the cursor, and we're going to start drawing. Now this depends on where you want it to finish. I don't have a model. If I had a model, I could actually see where the tissue is. So I don't have a model, but I will simply drag this out. So in the front, we may want to get out of the aesthetic zone and put our split underneath. Something like that. I'll just draw the line to the finish. Okay, something like that. Okay, perfect. And here we can see we've got a bit of a very thin area. We could pull that area out, or for now, I'm going to bring my split a little bit higher, like that. And then we're going to put this a little bit higher as well. So here it doesn't really matter where we put it. The height is actually quite irrelevant. We can put it at the bottom or a bit higher. So some of our users have said they want it as high as possible on the lingual side. So metal on the lingual side. Okay, now that we've done this, we need a cutter. So I'm going to click on here, make cutter. And then this gives me this cutter, and I'm going to pivot. I'm not rotating, I'm actually rotating the view. And here we can see the silhouette of the lower teeth. You can't really see it so well. I want to sort of be in the middle of my lower teeth. And then we're going to extrude this. And this will flip us into the front view. And then you see this cube, and I'm going to this is a cutting tool. So I'm going to move this cutting tool up, or I can rotate it a bit because this edge is quite sharp. So RX to rotate it a little bit, like that. And I'm going to move it down so we can manipulate this a little bit. So we don't want to go all the way because it'll disappear. This is an open mesh that we are cutting. And here it becomes evident why we've made these cones, because we need to join this cone with our bar, because our screw head is going to be lying inside of this cone. Also here we can see the bar. We need sufficient material over there. So once I've done that, I'll cut the top of this bar, and then we can zoom in and we can angle this. We can move it up or we can move it down as well. So here we want it obviously thick enough for strength, but we can't really see the strength because we don't see the bottom of it. And we're going to angle this bar as well a bit. So click on angle, and that will sort of bring it inwards a little bit like that. So our bar, this is a cutting tool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remesh this cutting tool. At the moment, it's a very simplistic mesh structure. We can see it's like very, very simple, and we need a more complicated mesh. So I'm going to click on remesh bar. This takes a little while because it joins up these little cones and it joins up everything together. And then it gives us a new structure. So we'll just wait for that. Excellent. And you'll see that this structure has also been smoothed with rounded edges. So here's our little cones. And here's another cone. You can see I've angled them about 30 degrees so that there's no undercuts. And then what we're going to do is, if you want to smooth this bar, we can smooth it. But I'll just save this just in case we want to come back to this like that. So we can, if there are sharp edges, like I can't see any sharp edges, but if you do see any sharp edges, we can go into smooth mode, especially down here where the burr needs to go and mill the surface. So I'm trying to get rounded, sort of semi-rounded edges all over the place. So if you find there's something too sharp, this is where we're going to smooth this cutting surface. And then we're going to go exit. The next thing we need to do is we need a safety zone. So I'm going to create a safety zone. So I'll click on this button. Here's my hybrid, like that. And I'm going to click create safety zone. Now that takes this cutting tool and it expands it outwards by 0.7, so it's double, so it's 1.4. So if you think you can mill thinner, then this is where you're going to change it. So I've got it'll add material of 0.7 onto this hybrid. It's a bit of a toss-up between manipulating the inside and manipulating the outside. So I'm going to correct the thickness of this hybrid, and then that should then add material onto my hybrid, and it'll protect the inside of my screw channels. So let's see. Yeah, we can see. So it's added it over here. It's added a little bit over there as well. And over here it's added. So it's, oh, and it's here. There's quite a bit added over here. Okay. So this is something that needs to be done. Otherwise, this won't be thick enough. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my cutter thicker. So we can smooth the hybrid if we want to, but we don't have to because it's looking quite good already. So I'm going to set the cutter thickness. Now this is set at 0.1. You can, I don't know how much cement space you need. So I've got it quite thin, and based on that, I'm going to click separate bar. So this does quite a bit of thinking here. So please be patient. Well, that was actually faster than what I expected. Okay, let's hide the top structure. And here we can see the bottom structure with those little cones, and your screw of 2 millimeters, or however thick your screw head is going to just plonk in over there. So that's looking quite good. Let me hide the other side, and we can examine the inside of this. And the mesh structure is like that. Excellent. Are you still there, Wolf?
Yeah. Looking good, Michael.
Okay, so that's actually quite good.
It didn't take too long.
Now this was a really complicated one to do. I tell you, it drove me nuts. Anyway, so it's working on this one. I want to just bring in another one and see whether we can do this on another one.
Should we just pause for a couple of questions or discussions or ideas?
Absolutely.
Yes, if I may,
yeah.
I would like to see the bottom of the upper structure, please.
The bottom of the
Yes,
of
the
this
upper
structure of this one?
Yes.
No. This is a new case. That's
this is a new case.
Yeah, do you want
I've already exited. We can just hold on. I'll just recover and see if I've got. Yeah, I've got it here. Yeah. So what do you want to see?
The upper one, the one with the tape.
Okay. Yeah, like this. Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to see the inside of?
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually what you're going to do is you're going to cement the upper one to the bottom one.
Yes.
So as I gotta ask you, why do you need the holes?
Oh, the holes. Okay,
Yeah.
so the top one is glued to the bottom one,
Right.
and the dentist will have to still screw this into position, because this is a removable appliance.
I see.
Yeah. So if you don't have holes, then you can screw the bottom in place.
And
you
then
can cement.
One.
You can cement the top one, but then it's very difficult to get it off if you've got to, I suppose,
right.
So it's difficult to
that makes sense.
I might have a question regarding the cutting. Before you cut it, actually after cutting the bar,
yes.
It happens that immediately to the suprastructure you got this difference in the cutting. So did the program did the calculation automatically to make the hybrid bigger in those parts?
The hybrid was made bigger in these parts, yes.
Yes, but was that made automatically after the cutting by a
No,
algorithm, the calculation,
no,
or was it before?
no, that was made before the cutting, because it
Okay.
needs to add first. It needs to
Yep.
add first, and then once it's added, you can see here this little part has been added here.
Mhm.
Then it will then cut. Cutting is right at the end.
Okay, so it's not that just the simple cut, as the simple cut automatically added the interference to the thinner parts to the hybrid, like some kind of, let's say, logical. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
You got it. Okay, I'll open up the next one. Let's just have a look at I've got another one here. Also very, very complicated.
Have you implemented a heat map yet, or not for the moment?
Sorry, what is that?
A
Baptist?
heat map, you know, to see the thickness with the color.
Now, I have taken it out for now. I'm in two minds whether I'm going to put it in, because the safety zone already makes it thick enough. So we don't really have to see it, but it may be good to put it in still. So I'm in two minds, because Wolfgang, what do you think with that? With
I
the heat
think
map?
the heat map is a good thing to have, just for people to be able to visualize. Sometimes not
The
so
thickness.
tangible to think about, you know. It would just be like a toggle and additional extra, I think. The other thing is when we add retention, sometimes we want to add extra retention. Maybe you can demonstrate this in the next one, where you know, you want to maybe pull some surfaces higher up into the tooth.
Okay, you know what? I'll just go back to Wolfgang. That's a good thing. I did save a copy here. So here, this is where we were at. Yeah, so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think this is a really, really good idea. So what we can do here is we can go into edit mode. We can look at it from the top. We can open up a new window so we can actually see what is going on. And I'm going to set this window to transparent mode up here. So our right window is transparent, our left window is non-transparent. Then what we can do is we can take the C key, the circle select left click, and then we can pull this up by 0.5 millimeters. Every time we click that, it's going to go up 0.5 millimeters. So let's just get a zoom in over there. So pull up. You can see how it pulls up. Yeah. So that can give us extra retention inside of this bar. Let's go to the other side and try that out as well. So, okay, we're going to go Alt A to deselect. Look at it perpendicular, C key, select a whole bunch of vertices, and we're going to go pull. You see, so it pulls it up 0.5 millimeter each time. I think that is really, really good. And we can also manipulate the mesh over here. We can pull it inwards, because sometimes we may not want material in the aesthetic zone. So then what I'm going to do is we can just sort of pull this inwards a little bit like that.
And you cannot protect the border of the mesh while doing this modification. The edge loop at the bottom, you cannot make a protection about them when you are moving, because here
Yes.
you change it.
Yes, I can still shrink wrap it to the model, which I did do, but I did so much work on this module that today that I sort of, I didn't put it in, but I will put it back in just to make sure it stays, that this outside border needs to stay put.
Yeah.
The
But
other
we
question,
need to,
okay, sorry.
yeah. Yeah.
If we were to, instead of cementing the top part onto the bar, if we wanted to add a screw thread or something, is that possible? Like, you drew upwards the mesh of the bar. Could we likewise put in some kind of a housing for a screw thread in future?
I think so, because you know how we got the cones join up with our original mesh. We could possibly come up with something where we can also have some like a platform or something to go in with the mesh.
Like we have the Rosen screw, which seems to be free of any metallic parts. Could we maybe incorporate a Rosen screw to attach it onto the bar?
Possibly, possibly.
Right.
We can look into that. So I'll just, so we'll just go out and then we can smooth this bar again.
About the interface, you make it very smooth for the mining, but can we imagine having some kind of surface that are not so smooth, not micro retention like we can do with the sandblast, but something like a linear, like line, that the mining machine
like lines,
like lines, so we have some more cement retention there.
Some retention.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, Michael.
Not sandblast size scale, but much more like 1 millimeter scale or things like that. Things that can be my level.
Yeah, I'll definitely take note of that.
Like retention, really that you can have more surface area if you want to.
Just take a brush with the sculpt tool, and we make a brush with a nice shape, and so you just have to brush it and everything is.
I've pressed the wrong button. I've still got to put error codes in there just to make sure that everything works according to plan. But I was going to just go to the next one so we can look at the next one.
Michael, the cement space, what have you got it as the thinnest cement space at the moment?
Well, some of the users in Italy wanted it very, very thin at 0.1, which is very, very thin. But, I think the user can set it to whatever they think they can. Look at 0.1 over here. So, I think that's up to whoever. I mean, sometimes people want to put opaque underneath. This could be a carbon fiber, and and it's black, and you need to put an opaque on there. So that all depends on how much. Okay, so here we've got one also very, very complicated because we've got all of these screw channels now. We want to split this hybrid with some of them on the bottom and some of them on the top. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to draw a line again, draw. And okay, so click on extrude. We're going to go all the way. Here I'm going to go a little bit higher.
So what software was used to make this hybrid, Michael?
I don't know, because it's got some artifacts in the mesh which I don't really know. I know that the previous one was done with Blenderfordental. So okay, here what we're going to do is we're going to fuse it. So you can see where this cutting line runs. This one is all the way on the other side, on the lower side of it. That one is on the top side, and this split goes through the middle. This is quite an interesting one. So let's try and see if this works. So we're going to make a cut again, and looking at from the top, I'm looking at the silhouette of my front teeth. I'm going to move them sort of in the middle. So there's quite a big, it's going to extrude at quite an angle. So we're going to extrude this. And again, we've got our cutting tool. Okay, now we've got a very sharp edge here, like way too sharp. So RX, and we're going to move it like this a little bit. G key to move it down a little bit. I'm going to look at it from the other side. Maybe tilt it a little bit like that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to commit to this. So we're going to cut the top, cut it, and now we can still move it up or down a little bit, and we can angle it as well. So let's angle it. Okay, so this angle doesn't look so cool, but let's nevertheless, we've angled it. A bit more like that. And then I'm going to remesh it. I'm a bit hesitant to do this. Anyway, let's try. Okay. So remesh the bar. This is taking a little bit of time. It could be because of, no, it worked. So here we can see, yeah, so this is looking quite good. I'm just having a look and see whether we've got any cones, visible cones. I don't know, I don't think so. So let's smooth this bar. Smooth it down. And of course, this structure is very sharp. I don't know whether, I'm not too clued up with the milling machines, how, what angles you can go in, but this is quite easy to smooth down or make it a bit smaller or whatever. Okay, so from here, we're going to exit. We're going to create a safety zone. Okay, so here we get to see this needs to be a little bit thicker, and this needs to be a little bit thicker. So we're going to correct the thickness of this hybrid.
So that adds a thickness of the safety zone, the green zone, on top of the external of the denture.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Just to ensure that it's 0.7 or however much you've set it. So here it's been added. That's looking good. And now let us split this into two parts. Set the cutter thickness and separate. Perfect. So here we go. The bottom part. And the top part. Perfect.
Cool.
That's quite good. So, Wolf, I've been exploring about a few other things. You can also cut sections. I don't know how helpful that is. You can, instead of cutting the whole thing, you can cut, earlier on today, I cut a section of only these two implants.
Okay.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how helpful that could be. You could have a part of it cement retained or cemented later or something. Anyway, I'm glad it worked out. I'll just stop sharing my screen. If there's any questions, please feel free. I mean, we may need to add some stuff into the module. I don't know yet, but that's why we're doing the beta testing. Yay.
Yeah, great. It would be good to add these sections which you just had in order to reduce the amount of materials on some parts. generally. I think so.
So I didn't quite understand the question. It's like the amount of material that we add, we can change that.
Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we use
Yeah.
a cutter thickness as a cement gap?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it
Correct.
that's what it's there for. Yeah. So it was
So when
set
do you
to 0.
expect,
Sorry?
when do you expect it to come out? To the general
Look,
public like me.
Look, what I want to do is I want to finish this module by the weekend.
Okay.